Welcome back to the channel. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing the newest thriller by Jack Carr. It's titled In the Blood. Now, I have given reviews on my channel for the previous 4 books in the series: Terminal List, True Believer, Savage Son, The Devil's Hand, and now we've got book 5, In the Blood. You can go watch these reviews elsewhere on my channel. Just type in my last name, the title of the book. The video review will magically appear upon your computer screen. That's how the internet works, and we're going to be talking about the internet in this book a little bit. Now, also, if you want to go to YouTube and type in the Terminal List trailer, you're going to see a great trailer for the Terminal List movie, or maybe it's a mini-series, starring Chris Pratt. The trailer is seriously dope, folks. Go watch it. This is going to be like the new Jack Ryan type thriller series, I believe. Anyway, this book scared the shit out of me. Now, books usually don't scare me. I read a lot of horror novels. I read a lot of stuff. But this book scared the crap out of me. This is a real Da Vinci Code-esque type thriller in the beginning, where we learn a lot about quantum computers and artificial intelligence and how it is just already right in our lives, controlling a lot of the stuff we do. How there are data centers, mainly in Utah, that are collecting every bit of data, every keystroke that we type into our computer or our phone. It goes here, it's collected. This is a real stuff. And all this information is starting to talk back to us. This book blew my mind, and it scared the fuck out of me, and I do not want this future. The future that Jack Carr is unveiling to us, with the amount of data that is just being collected about every single thing and person on the planet. It's just staggering. And the thing that evil people can do with this information will just blow your mind. That is in the first part of this book, but that's not the main issue. That's not the main focus of the book, although it's kind of the most intriguing focus of the book. I will say that, but it is just insanity. We're going to get into some of this. But let's talk about the covers first. You know, we always talk about the covers because I love graphic design, cover illustration. The Jack Carr books always have super tight graphic design with just great illustrations on them. And they all look together, they all fit on the shelf together real nicely. So I give the Emily Bester books an A+ just for the graphic designs. Fantastic. The price of the book, you can get the price of the book just out of the opening statement by the author. That's how good the opening statement is. It's worth the $30 price tag. Just for the few pages he gives us when he opens the book out, he just gives a little bit of an essay about violence and freedom, and how violence, oftentimes there has to be violence for there to be freedom. And then there's corruption, and how government leaders oftentimes fail upwards. And I've seen this in my own department that I work at. You know, if you followed me for any length of time, you know I work in law enforcement, and I see this all the time. People fuck up, and rather than fire them, it's just easier to promote them. I don't know how this happens, but it does, and it happens a lot. People fail upwards. Like, the people are chicken shit to fire the guy because they think that the guy will come back and sue them, so they're like, well, rather than fire him and get sued, let's make him our boss. Ugh. And he talks a lot about this in conjunction with the failed attempt for the United States government had in leaving Afghanistan, and what a clusterfuck most everything we've done militarily since World War II. And you can see Jack Carr's passion for the subject. You know, he is an ex-Navy SEAL, and we can, I get it, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too. The book itself starts with Aliyah. She's an assassin who is targeted for assassination, and she's flying away from Africa, and she notices that a missile's been launched at her plane, and boom, plane blows up. Then we get perspective from Nazir. He's a French military assassin. Just a great character, sort of our antagonist, our badass antagonist that our main character has to fight. Our main character is James Reese, the star of these other books. He is back. He is living in Montana on the ranch that his buddy Rafe has set him up on, and he's got his girlfriend Katie there, who is a journalist. And if you want to get all their backstories, go ahead and read the first 4 books. You get all the previous adventures. One of the things that I learned right from the get-go in this book is not only about the quantum computers and the artificial intelligence that's taking over everything, I learned that the KGB back in the day, back when Russia was run by the KGB built mock American U.S. cities for training. I mean, they built entire cities just to train in with. They had McDonald's and 7-Elevens and different department stores and buildings and stuff that they could train their KGB spies and how to navigate America. That just blew my mind. They would go to the trouble to build an entire mock city just for training. Good God. Talk about failing upwards. Holy shit. Anyway, we get a lot of Russian perspective on American culture. And this ties into the whole quantum computer stuff and how our enemies can use computer data against us. Not only can they use computer data against us, but they can censor different stuff on the internet, promote different stuff on the internet, get people to think different things, get people to working against each other, to hating each other, and to infighting. And it's just brilliant. It's like one of those art of war type of things where just plant a few things in your enemy's garden and see what grows, and just be patient, and your enemy will probably just destroy themselves from within, which is the main theme of this book. Really is just like the Russians and everybody and the terrorists are just kind of like, yeah, let's lay back a little bit and let's just see what the Americans do to themselves, because we think that they're going to eat each other alive. They ain't that far off. Anyway, we get some flashbacks to 2008 when James Reese was in the Iraq War together with Aliyah, the first person killed in the book. We get, we mentioned that James Reese goes to Virginia and Washington, D.C., and just little details that Jack Carr puts in the book about James Reese having a concealed carry gun with him. And when he's in Washington, D.C., he still carries it, even though it's a felony to have one. But then when he steps over the border into Virginia, he's obeying the law because it's okay to have concealed carry in Virginia. It's just some of that stuff that we fight about. Like, just right there on the border of 2 states in our nation, you can be a felon for having a gun. Take one step over the border and you can be a law-abiding citizen with your gun. It just is absolute bananas. Some of the stuff that we're doing in the United States is bananas. And Jack Carr's pointing it out. Arlington Cemetery, he goes there. And Jack Carr really does a good job of sort of boiling down the meaning of life while his character is in Arlington Cemetery. James Reese, our main character, has been through a lot of stuff. Our government has not treated James Reese very well at all throughout any of these stories, and he's starting to begin, is the fight worth it? Is this country worth saving? Every person I know that's higher up in the military and the government has failed upwards, and with each new failure, it's like they're even promoted even further upwards. Like, every military action has been a colossal failure, but nobody's held accountable. And he's got this situation now that he's dealing with, trying to figure out who killed his friend. Meanwhile, a French assassin is trying to kill him. And there's a cat and mouse game that takes place all over the world. And we get to see all sorts of parts of the world, like Israel, Russia, even Cortina di Ampezzo, Italy, a place which I've been. I like that when the authors put their story, bits and pieces of their story in parts of Europe that I've actually been to. I think that's cool. I like that. It's part of the reason I read thrillers, is to learn more about the world and governments. But we do get to question a lot of things. The Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, Vietnam War, all of these things. You can tell that this is a personal examination of right versus wrong, violence versus peace, that Jack Carr is sort of writing out through this character of James Reese. It's just absolutely great, and he does it with just such great style and grit. I mean, he introduces these themes. These are tough themes. These are life-changing, world-changing events that he's talking about. And he asks the reader, what's honorable? Who's honorable? Are we as Americans honorable? And we must honor the questions that Jack Carr asks in this book because of his own experiences as a Navy SEAL. It's absolutely a dynamite book. I haven't been more, the first third of this book, when they were talking about the artificial intelligence and the quantum computers and the data centers and all of the things that they're collecting on every single one of us, I was horrified. Because there's stuff in here that you might think you know, but until you read this book, you don't really know. You don't really know how deep it goes. And it's just crazy. And then it's softened. The book, the grit and the gruesomeness and the bloodiness of the book is softened just by these trips that the characters take to, like, say, places like Arlington. And I've been to Arlington. I've been to Omaha Beach. I've been to a lot of the World War II sites. Like the Iwo Jima statue is one of my favorite things I've seen in Washington, D.C. These things have a lasting effect on the people that visit them, and everybody should visit them, and Jack Carr really makes a point to let you know through his character's eyes that we should visit them. I haven't really said a whole lot about the plot here, other than it's got a lot of stuff going on. It's very, very Da Vinci Code-esque. It's my favorite Jack Carr thriller so far, and I have loved the first four. Loved the first four. And I hope everybody starts to go out and read these. And if you don't want to read them, just tune in to the TV show with Chris Pratt that's coming up. Like I said, type in the Terminal List movie trailer. Watch that. It's going to blow you away. 10 out of 10 stars for In the Blood. Absolutely loved it.